All right, everybody. This is episode 7 of season 2 of Just the Gi Top podcast. Regular podcast members, we have Ahmed Sharani,
Hello.
we have Jordan Short,
Hello.
and myself, Adam Cousins. So, no guest scheduled for tonight. So we're just gonna talk a couple topics in jiu-jitsu. Maybe just do you want to kick it off here, Ahmed, or?
Well, I just want to say, first off, the whole not non-guest thing. Remember, guys, you fell in love with us before we had a guest. You know what I mean? We had our first guest was Gianni Grippo, I believe, episode 7, maybe 6. But before that, we had a good following, and so Adam. So I'm sorry, I don't want to correct you, but we are not defined by our guests. Adam, I might have to cut this out. But
I don't recall saying we were defined by our guests.
That's how I took it, though.
Okay, no, I said we didn't have one scheduled for tonight.
Well, yes,
it's not for lack of trying.
Yeah,
sometimes our guests don't always cooperate.
That's true, and of course,
I think more than anything, we just wanted to give you, our viewers and listeners, the gift of us tonight.
Yes, and
uninterrupted.
Honestly, when and for those who don't know, I do most of the editing and whatnot, and I always watch our episodes, always, at least once. And the ones I enjoy the most are with just us. I'm just saying, so let us know what you think. PM Adam, let him know what you think.
Ahmed actually does do his own podcast with just him that he watches over and over again.
I'll admit, I almost never watch our episodes again. I hate to hear myself talk, actually. I love to talk. I love the sound of my voice coming out of my own mouth. I just don't like hearing it talk later.
You do.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
That's actually very odd, considering that you're a big socialite. You know what I mean? You're always on Facebook, going this is you post things like you post a YouTube link, you go pow, this is the music that you should be listening to on a Monday because I said so because I'm Adam Cousins. I like it though. I like it. You do dictate a lot of people's lives, and I see the comments, and a lot of them are people I've never heard of. So I can't come back on and say, so and so, what the fuck are you talking about, right? And then, but they're your friends for some reason, and they like what you say, and you have a good following. I like it. I like it a lot.
Social media is kind of I do enjoy social media. Obviously, anybody that knows me, I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram and that stuff. Twitter, I don't have a lot of time for Twitter, but because I do have a life. But I don't know. Just social media is fun because it's just a chance for me to just post all the stupid shit that comes to my mind that nobody in my real life would actually care to hear about, but for some reason, when I post it on Facebook, people find it funny. So
Yeah. You know what's funny with Facebook, and not to knock anybody who uses it, because I use it a lot, but I find they're always 3 weeks behind on the real news, on the real funny things that happen. Like, for example, I'll see a meme something like 3 weeks ago, and then it pops up on Facebook, and it's and people are sharing it. It makes me kind of I don't know. Do you guys maybe?
It's sort of funny.
It's a while for stuff to make the rounds,
Yeah.
It is sort of funny when you see things that are recycled too. Something that's happened a year ago and it starts surfacing again, and people are like, "Oh, have you seen this?" Yeah, a really, really long time ago.
Yeah. That's that. So no, but to kick us off, guys, to keep it relatively jiu-jitsu related, Adam, I believe we were talking. The distinction of, now correct me if I'm wrong, competitors who were really avid competitors, and then all of a sudden life gets in the way and they just disappear off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple people lately, and you look at who's registering for the tournaments and stuff like that, and you see that, I've talked to a couple people who have said, that since they got a job or, got married, had kids, whatever the situation is, it's it's really hard to train. And these are people that were, sometimes training full-time. These were people that were full-time jiu-jitsu, competing all the time, everywhere, and then all of a sudden something comes up in their life. It's a job, it's a, relationship or something, and then it's almost like they're barely training anymore. It's that one little, one change in their life, it just impacts their training so much, and it's hard for me to relate to that because when I started training, I already had all those things, right? I had a job and a family and all that stuff. So it's like, it's hard for me to relate to somebody who's like, oh, I got a job, I can't train anymore. It's like, well, fuck, I have a full-time job. I got 2 jobs, and I got a family. I got kids, right? And it's like, and I can still train 6 days a week. I have a hard time relating to that, I guess, for me.
I mean, I think really those are their excuses, though. Like, I mean, if you really want to get out and train, you will find the time to do it.
Yeah, but you know what the distinction is here is that you got full-time people who are used to a certain amount of certain results. I think they're used to always hitting the podium or always doing well, and now if they can't put in 100% and give it their all like they were before, they're not going to bother. It's like for us, we don't care, right? Like we'll compete. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. At the end of the day, you kind of don't care. You do care, but you don't. But these guys, their ego can't take it. They were at the top, and now they're.
So I think that's a really interesting point because and the point of us bringing up the discussion that we had earlier on it's not to bag on people that train full time, but it's like, is it realistic, right? Is it realistic to think that that's something that's maintainable, or should people be maybe trying to balance things a bit more so that when things come up in their life that they can adjust to it and still keep training, right? Still keep doing the thing that they love, because why were they training jiu-jitsu full time? It's because they loved it, right? And I can't imagine anything in my life happening that's going to take me away from training because it's a big part of who I am, right?
Yeah, but yeah, no, totally 100% agree with you. I know what you mean. But again, like and like we said, we've seen these people. So what happens is that, and I know a couple, not personally, but I know of them, whatever. But when you're younger and you're like, let's say late, because like let's face it now, we got full-time blue belt is not uncommon now. Full-time blue belt is like almost a surefire thing right now. Like you got people who are like pooling up in a small little apartment, boloing in their dining room and stuff. We always joke about that, but it's real. It is happening. But they're young. They're 18. They're 19 years old, right? They're 20 years old even. 22 years old even. Let's say that's still pretty young. But now what's happening is that these guys are slowly when 25 hits, shit gets real, because like. And the reason I say is that when you look at the guys in jiu-jitsu right now, Liara Jr., correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but that guy's only 19, 20, I don't know, and he's freaking a black belt, okay? And here you are, 25 years old, and you're a purple belt. Fuck, man, you're behind. You are behind. You're not going to be a black belt until you're 30. You know what I mean? And like, so I think Adam, what it is there. It's that plus the game has changed now. You got guys who are black belts at 21 years old now. And that's just unheard of. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, just a quick note. Shout out, congratulations to former JTGT alumnus Michael Lara Jr. on getting his black belt this week.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, that's really good. He lost his first black belt match. I know we just said congratulations, and now I'm saying he just lost, but he had a debut. Good for him. Like he just got it days ago, but he debuted yesterday, and he lost his first match. So. But hey, man, black belt, man, that's crazy.
Oh man, I'm sure first of many, not losses, hopefully.
That's a tough division, but anyway.
Okay, so that kind of leads into another topic we were talking about, and we can always come back to the whole full-time thing, but I think it's definitely related. Is amateur versus pro, and I know you guys were talking to Mike Carbolito a bit about this last week, but is it something that jiu-jitsu needs? Like, does it dissuade people from registering? I don't think maybe at the higher levels, like, the bigger tournaments, worlds, people are going to register no matter what. But I think that, and again, in talking to people in Ontario, you get some people that are like, oh, man, I don't want to register that tournament because that guy, whoever it is, or girl in my division who trains full-time, like, I don't want to get beat by that person for the 12th time or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. So let's let Jordan tackle this one.
Well, man, I think it would if there was like a pro division or something I think it would bring a lot to jiu-jitsu as far as like making it more spectator friendly. Like, I mean, if you had some sort of like tournament format, not so much like like the tournaments that we're doing now, but like you have a champion, and that champion is defending his title and things like that. I don't know. I think it adds a different dimension, and I think it would be something cool to see in the future.
It would be, and it's definitely something that needs to happen. Now, when I brought it up to Carbolito, I pretty much said, and I'll make it short because I kind of went on a rant, but I essentially said that everyone posts this on Facebook where they're like, they'll show a picture of Kobe Bryant, Jordan, and someone else, and they'll say like, and then they'll show Andre Galvao, Bashesha, and whatever. They'll show the two groups of three guys. They're like, what's the difference between these two? One you can train with and compete with, with the mat next to you, and the other ones you could never do it. I think you never should do it. You have no right to be near such guys as Galvao and all that. Yeah, you can go to their school, you can learn, but who do you think you are to compete in the mat right next to him? I mean, are we serious? Am I wrong here? Like,
no, I don't think that you're wrong.
There should be a distinction here. I mean, and these are the upper levels, okay? So, but I think, Adam, you're talking more professional, like purple belts and brown belts versus amateur. Is that what you?
Well, I'm just talking at any level, right? And it could be black belt, it could be brown belt. I don't know. I don't think jiu-jitsu personally. I think that it's a good idea. I don't think that jiu-jitsu is necessarily big enough for that yet. Like,
it's not.
You look at Ontario, for example, right? Like, you get 3 guys registered in a purple belt division, right? If you split that into pro and amateur.
Whoa, John, you okay there? What's going on?
That'd be my dog. She's usually locked upstairs during the podcast.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's new. Usually I'm used to sirens from Rami, but now we have a rabbit dog.
She's out of control.
I forgot where we were.
I was just saying that I don't think the Ontario scene, I don't think is big enough to support that.
Well, can I just talk about can I just talk about jiu-jitsu in general here? Just 1 second. So, sorry, Jordan. Okay, there we go. He's muted. Okay, so but yeah, if I may, Adam, and tell me if you agree with this or not. Do you feel that jiu-jitsu will never be marketable to the public because it's really one aspect of MMA which is very popular? So now what I mean by that is, of course, mixed martial arts is made up of striking, groundwork, wrestling, judo, you name it, right? It's like taking basketball and saying, you know what, basketball is really marketable, but we're going to take rebounding out of basketball and do a rebounding league. And we're just going to see the best rebounders, and guys are going to go full-time and train rebounding.
I don't think. I like the analogy, right? I like the analogy. I don't think if jiu-jitsu doesn't become marketable as a sport, I don't think that that's the reason, though. Like, I don't think that jiu-jitsu may not be marketable because it's only a portion of MMA, something else which is popular. I think if jiu-jitsu doesn't become marketable, it's because it's really hard to market jiu-jitsu because, by and large, it's not a very spectator-friendly sport.
Yeah, man. It's like when you see the championship matches of black belt and stuff, open weights, and you look at the fans, like look in the audience, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Look in the stands. It's dead. There's nothing there. And before anybody comes on and says oh no, there is. No, there wasn't. I was there last year. There wasn't anything. Sorry, I was there this year. There's not.
Really, yeah, and it's sad. Like, it's sad to see, like, the highest level of competition and, like, the stands are, like, mostly empty, right? In a gym that's really not that big, right?
Yeah. Most of the people there are the people competing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they competed earlier that day, and so.
But it's not to say that jiu-jitsu isn't marketable. I'm just saying that it's very hard to market. I think you look at, like, Metamoris, and I think what Metamoris is doing is helping to make jiu-jitsu become more marketable. I think that there's things that can be done, but I just think that it's tough, right? It's like, it's like trying to take something, and this is not going to be a good analogy, but it's like, trying to take something like, let's make a competitive, like, clay molding course, and, like, let's try to make people get really excited about it, right? Like, to people who like molding clay, they'd be like, yeah, this is fucking great, but, like, to anybody else, it's like, that's really boring to watch, right? So it's hard to make jiu-jitsu exciting to watch. There's certain things you can do. I like what Metamoris does with the rule set, so you can change the rule set a bit. You can make it more of a production as well. So there's things that you can do. It's difficult.
I mean, like, people want to watch matches that are like, you know, especially for the casual fan, they want to see like flashy.
Oh, I think Jordan cut out. But it's a good point that he was making, right? People want to see good, like, flashy stuff, right? Like, you know, they don't want to see two black belts playing defensively for 10 minutes to, you know, an advantage victory.
That's true. That's true. But look, man, like, this has been happening for a long time now. We've been trying to market jiu-jitsu as best as we could. Not us personally, but I'm saying in general, they are trying to make jiu-jitsu as more spectator friendly, as whatever, but nothing's working. I mean, you got organizers out there who are changing the rule set to say get rid of advantages is one, for example, or maybe a sub-only rule set or whatever. It's still not really. It's just not catching on. And you know what? It is what it is. We should just recognize jiu-jitsu is a great. I love it. People think I'm bashing it. I love it. I train it not all the time, but maybe 4 days a week. I like to train it. Keeps me in shape. It's fun. I like to compete once in a while. You know what? So I love it, but I know what it is. It's never going to be something big. No one you ever tell outside of jiu-jitsu is going to know what it is, and they never do. They never do. I tell people I do jiu-jitsu. They're like, oh, really? Like they don't know. They never will know, ever. You know. So when people go full time in it, it's cool because like maybe you win a championship and you can open up a school. Maybe best case scenario. But man, Adam, I'm sure you know personally you know people who own schools, right? And it's not a lavish lifestyle. You know what I mean? You really have to love it and
you have to. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be successful as a business person in jiu-jitsu, like, you know, as a school owner, like, yeah, you basically have to be like a multiple-time world champion. To be a multiple-time world champion, you have had to have devoted a good part of your life to training jiu-jitsu,
right,
for little or no money. It's, you know, it's like people. I went to see Brian Redband and Tony Hitchcliffe last night. Did a stand-up show in London, which was awesome. It was hilarious, right? But you look at like the guys opening the stand-up shows, right? And you're like, man, like, some of these guys are terrible, right? Like sometimes you've been to any comedy shows, you go and you see the guys opening, and they're just brutal, right? And I respect that, you know, they're like the white belts of the comedy world, right? They're just learning their craft, right? And they're starting to figure out, you know, what's funny and what's not, and what people like and what people don't like to hear. But you know, they're just going out there and like nobody's laughing at the stuff they're saying because it's barely funny. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of life is that? Like, I don't know. For me, you know, and I get chase your passions, right? Like, and I respect people that chase their passions, but at the same time, it's like, how long can you do that for? How long can you go out there and be really terrible at telling jokes, but it's all you want to do in life? And maybe you make it big, and maybe you don't. Maybe you're still in 20 years that guy that's opening for, you know, the half-decent comics and trying to get the audience warmed up. It's like, I think it's a good analogy to jiu-jitsu. It's like, you know, most people who train jiu-jitsu do it because they love it, right? It's not, nobody goes into jiu-jitsu saying like, oh, I'm going to train this because I'm going to become a big star and get lots of sponsors and have all sorts of money. And, you know, it's not like any other pro sport. It's not like hockey, right? You've probably got people that play hockey at the highest level that maybe don't even really love it that much, but it's like it's a job, right?
Yeah,
and they've been groomed for that job since a child, knowing that there is like at least a chance you're going to make a really, really good living off of it, right? And even if, you know, you look at hockey or other pro sports, even if, you know, you're a not that great football player and you're playing in the CFL, I mean, yeah, most of those guys have other jobs, but you're probably still making as much as most gym owners make.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's a good point.
It's like, so you're grinding it out for how long? For what at the end? Yeah, and I mean, and again, it's not to bag on people that do it, because I have a lot of respect for people that chase their dreams, and for people that, you know, put things aside for their dreams, because, you know, and maybe it's that I'm, you know, a pussy for never doing that, right? Maybe it's because I was like, you know what, no, I want to get a good job, and I want to be able to provide, you know, for a family someday, and I want to be able to, you know, buy the things that I want and have the things that I want, and maybe that makes me, you know, a shitty person, or maybe that makes me lame, but it's like, I have a hard time, like, picturing a life where you're grinding it out every day for maybe nothing at the end of the road.
And what bothers me about that, Adam, what bothers me is that we're fortunate enough to live in Canada, United States, maybe it's Europe, maybe whatever, some first world nation, and you choose to give yourself these hard times where you have all the avenues available to you. Now, we won't get started into what degrees are bad and good and unemployed, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, like, you're right. We have every opportunity in this world, in this part of the world, to really make something for ourselves. You know, like you said, afford the luxuries in life, afford vacations, and I just can't understand why somebody would put themselves through hard times, hardships, for no reward. Sure, I'm very passionate about. I love video games. I love them now. No, well, nowadays maybe that's a bad example because you can actually make a living being a professional video gamer. But I mean, I doubt it. You know, it's not whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is that why put yourself through all that for something that yields nothing? Like, you use hockey as a great example. You can play hockey all through your, 5 years old, all the way up till whatever, 18, until they get drafted or whatever it is. But there's something at the end. There's a big payday there. Baseball, basketball, whatever sport it may be. You know what I mean? And I just don't, and I don't get it. When the end goal in jiu-jitsu seems to be, and we've asked the guys, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Open a school? Open a school? No, open a school. Like, that's all it is. And it's and like, I don't know. I've never heard one guy say, I'm going to invest in property. I'm going to make money. No, I'm going to open a school, man. I'm going to.
Well, and even like, I mean, look at pro hockey players, right? So I grew up in Peterborough, which is a big hockey town in Ontario here, right? There's an OHL team, which is, for the most part, it's like, if you're a good player in the OHL, you're probably going to get drafted at some point, right? But you look at those guys, and they're kids, right? These, the guys that are playing OHL hockey, for the most part, are kids. But they're also going to school, right? They have jobs, right? It's not like, it's not like you're playing OHL hockey and that's all you do all day, every day, right? It's like these people also have, like, because right? Like, yeah, there is that potential for that big payday, but most people are never going to hit that payday. So it's like, I need to have a plan B.
That's actually a very good point you made. Like, I remember, who did I ask about that? I said, what is it with jiu-jitsu and the concept that you need to train 3 times a day? I forget who asked that. And like, why jiu-jitsu? Whereas you're right, OHL, these guys are kids, like you said. 17 years old is considered, 18 years old is the maximum, I think, for OHL. I could be wrong. But 16 to 18 years old, right? These guys are students. They're getting hammered on the weekend. They're banging puck bunnies. They're living like a fucking 16 to 18-year-old kid would live, right? And yet they can make it into a professional league, the NHL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what makes jiu-jitsu this, like, weird? And it's funny, the way I say that is because, well, Ahmed, what's your problem? Go compete in adult and beat the guys at adult worlds. I can't. I don't know what it is about jiu-jitsu that makes it that different. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I said, and I've got a little heat from this before, I said jiu-jitsu, just like any other sport, you have your natural gifted. I'm sure you've seen them, Adam. You probably have some kid who's like friggin' 10 years old and he's just like amazing. You know what I mean? Like, like this guy just gets it. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not sure where I was going with that.
It's kind of bizarre though, right? And it's like, especially with jiu-jitsu, like you said, it's funny, right? Because you talk about, like, the kids playing OHL hockey, and they're still, for the most part, when they're not training, they're just leading like a normal life, right? a kid who is that age. Maybe it's not quite so normal, right? Because they have a bit more prestige, at least in Canada, right? But you look at jiu-jitsu people, and jiu-jitsu people are not just like, most people aren't just like, okay, I'm leading my normal life and I'm also training because I want to be a pro jiu-jitsu player. It's like I'm dedicating 100% of my life to jiu-jitsu. It's like that's all I think about. That's all I do all day, all night, is jiu-jitsu. And it's like, so I think the input of effort is even higher than, and not to say that jiu-jitsu is harder or easier to play than hockey, but I think the level of how much it encompasses your entire life is even higher for those full-time guys doing jiu-jitsu than it is for guys that are realistically on the verge of being in the NHL.
Yeah, totally, 100%. I don't know if it's the media or what that tries to make jiu-jitsu part of a martial art that you got to live it. It's a lifestyle. It's a whatever. I don't know who should blame for this.
I don't know that blame needs to be assigned to it, because you know what, I kind of, in a way, I like that jiu-jitsu is a lifestyle, right? In a way, right? Not like and everything in moderation, even moderation, right? Like I'm not. I think that jiu-jitsu impacts a lot of other aspects of my life in a good way, because it does become a bit of a lifestyle. But I think anything can be taken too far, which a lot of times it is.
Well, I mean, what is jiu-jitsu lifestyle? Like, that's another thing. Is like, what the hell is this that I always hear about? Hashtag jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Like, is it just simply training? Is it eating acai? Is it like, what is it?
I think it's all of those things, right? Like, it's training, it's how you train, it's how you eat, it's how you treat your body, it's how you treat other people. I think that, and it kind of ties into maybe more of like the traditional martial arts aspect of it, right? It's not just something that you go and do. It becomes a part of who you are. And I think for me, that's what the jiu-jitsu lifestyle is, right?
You know what? And I do agree, because I always have, I train Sunday mornings, right? So my Saturday night, whether I want to or not, I always, in the back of my head, I know, shit, I got to wake up early in the morning. I got to train. I better skip on eating this pizza or maybe some other people skip on that beer or whatever it may be, just because you're right. So I guess I see what you mean, because it does affect my life. Even my wife will be like, hey, let's go out and do this. I'm like, oh, but I train at 9 in the morning. Sorry, I can't. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and like people, my friends know, like, okay, Tuesday, Thursday nights, I'm teaching. I teach fundamentals, and then I take the advanced class. So it's like Tuesday, Thursday nights. Nobody tries to book anything with me, because I won't ever be available on Tuesday and Thursday nights, because I train. Yeah. Right? Saturday, Sunday mornings I train. I was at a party last Saturday, I think. Yeah, last Saturday, and it's like, it was getting fairly late into the evening. I'd had, a bit to drink, and people are trying to get me to drink more, and I'm like, I can't, man. I can't, because I got comp class at 10 o'clock Sunday morning, and if I go in hungover, I'm going to probably puke on the mats, right? and it doesn't really occur to me that, like, oh, I just won't go to comp class tomorrow. It's like, no, that's just something that I do.
Exactly.
Because it's part of who I am.
Going back to what's it called? Full-time.
Did Jordan get attacked by his dog, by the way? Did Jordan get attacked by his dog?
Jordan's having some difficulty with his internet, I believe. So I mean, I don't know what we can do about that, but he'll be back. He's trying. But going back to the full-time, Jordan. Sorry, I called you Jordan. Did you hear that?
Oh, ouch.
Sorry. Really quick. Thoughts on people like Rutolo twins and other kids who are training full time? What the fuck are their parents doing? So I think I just eliminated ever having the twins on. But honestly, what could I possibly get from them? I mean, they're friggin' 8 years old or whatever. They're going to tell me that I don't know. So, but yeah. So I'm sorry. I hope they don't listen. And if they do. I mean, really, you're 8 years old. Like, your ages combined is half my age. So, but anyway, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, they got them homeschooled. Like, what? Like,
I like how you just ended that with, like, what?
I just don't get it. Like, it's
Okay. So, and this encompasses a couple different things. Obviously, firstly, for kids, especially at that age, like, less than 10 years old, if you're training full time, it's not because, how do I carefully say this? It's about the parents more than it is about the kids.
Yeah.
Because an 8-year-old kid, if you're like, hey, do you want to just, I don't know, whatever, do anything other than school, like, all the time, they'll be like, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. Like, when you're 8, like, I think when I was 8, I still wanted to be a fire truck when I grew up. Like, kids at 8, they're not able to make those type of life decisions, right? So it's like,
exactly.
It's parents that are making those decisions. And do I think it's right that parents take their kids out of school to have them become full-time athletes at 8 years old? No, I don't think it's a good idea. It's not to knock homeschooling, right? Because there's lots of, very successful people who are homeschooled. There's probably lots of really people who receive really shitty homeschooling too, right? It's just like anything, right?
Yeah.
In terms, I'm not knocking homeschooling, but the quality of your homeschooling is vastly going to vary based on the ability of whoever is doing your homeschooling to actually teach you whatever it is you need to learn. Because you see lots of kids who are homeschooled who just really don't have much of a shot in this life because they just weren't, they don't learn real life stuff. But there's also lots of kids that come out of like a traditional school system that also are, sociopaths and terrible, terrible people and not well prepared for this world. So maybe it's not a comment on homeschooling at all. But I guess the point that I'm getting to there is that I don't like that parents do that to their kids.
No, man, it's like
it really bothers me. And actually I just was having a conversation with somebody today about, because I've got, my kids are 3 and 6. I got 2 kids, right? My daughter just turned 6 today. But especially like, okay, in Canada, right? Hockey parents, it's a thing, right? And you see the sum of the parents that are out there, and it's like you can tell that these people are just living vicariously through their children. And is that really the right thing to do to kids? Like, it's not even about does the kid really love playing hockey. It's that the parent really has this strong desire for their child to be successful in hockey.
Yes, and I like to compare that full-time schooled, whatever, students, whatever, are about the same as child actors. Have you ever seen a good child actor still make it out? I mean, I see the Rotolo twins being like a Macaulay Culkin when they're older, or like, something like that. I know, like, forgive me, but you're right. This is not their choice. These are not kids. You're taking away their youth. It's like Michael Jackson all over again. I'm not saying they're going to be like Michael Jackson, but
but okay. This is unrelated to jiu-jitsu, but I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and it made me so fucking angry as a parent. And I just wanted to comment on it, and it will kind of lead into maybe something else we'll talk about in a bit. But okay, so there's this new wave of, or this sect, or some group of people who identify themselves as feminists, and okay, just to be clear, we've gone through this topic before. This is in no way a comment on feminism. This is a comment on parenting. But there are people out there who are taking their children, their young girls, and like forbidding them to play with girly things, like traditionally girly things, like wear pink, princesses, that sort of stuff, right? Because they're reinforcing negative female stereotypes. And like, my daughter is 6, and she just fucking loves everything that's princesses, and she just wants to dress up like a princess all the time. And it's not because it's like I forced her to be that way because, oh, you're a girl. I mean, not consciously, right? Like, I think that there are things in society that impact, the types of things that little girls and boys like. But at the same time, if she didn't like any of that stuff, I wouldn't care either, right? It's just she likes what she likes, and she's my daughter, and I support her, right? But you get people that, like, they're like, no, you can't play with that Barbie doll and your little girl because you're just contributing to part of what's wrong with female stereotypes these days. And that just makes me so angry. And it's just like, parents who force their children to, you know, do whatever, like play violin 10 hours a day or do jiu-jitsu. Even if you like it, it's just you're taking away that child's childhood. You're taking away part of what makes you a child. And I fucking hate that. It just drives me nuts.
You know, so shame on you, Rotolo parents. That's what Adam's saying. Shame on you for doing that. I mean, like, and you know, it's funny. Shoro posted that.
Right, because we don't know these people, we don't know these kids. It could be, you know, every situation has its own set of merits, benefits, all of that. So we're not necessarily like condemning these parents or condemning these children, but I'm just saying that I disagree in general with parents who assert a certain type of lifestyle on their children based on their own insecurities or their own shortcomings in life or whatever it is, right? Like, you know, rather than just teaching your children to become good people, you know, it's like...
I mean, it's an interesting point you brought there. What about, like, decisions like, you know, and I hear you, but on the other side of that argument, people are going to say, like, what about circumcision? Do you know what I mean? Like you're making a decision, you know, for your kids based on your beliefs.
Yeah.
If it's not religiously fueled, then maybe your personal stigma against it or for it. You know what I mean? Like, where does it end, Adam? Where does it end?
Okay, we've gone a long way from jiu-jitsu here, but it's not a bad question, right? Okay, and you know, it's something that you've obviously had to deal with. You've got two boys, right? I've got a boy, right? So it's something that you have to deal with. I'm not a religious person, but there were still a lot of factors that tied into that, right? And is it wrong? Like, is it wrong to make that decision for your child at that age? Well, shit, maybe it is, right?
Yeah, maybe. It's genital mutilation as far as the anti-cut people are going. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good point. It's a good point. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to solve, like, I don't know how we even got here. It was a decision. But yeah, so I don't know, Adam. You're not gonna bail me out. You're just gonna let me stay here. So, but okay.
No, I don't like. I honestly, I think it's a valid question, right? We've kind of gone straight to, like, you know, parenting here, but like, is it something that you have a right to decide for your child, even if it is religious, man? Like, even if it is religious, is it the right thing to do? I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Do you have the right to make them celebrate Christmas at friggin' 1 year old or 8 months old when they're first? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, here's this tree, but then again, that's commercialized now, so never mind that. But where do you draw the line, man? Like, because that's what people are gonna say. Like, look, these are my kids. I want them to do jiu-jitsu. These are my kids. I want them to get circumcised. These are my kids. Who are you to say, and not you personally, but I'm saying people might say.
And that's valid. Like, that's a valid counter argument, right? Like,
yeah. Who are you to?
How does it differ from religion, for example, right? Like, you could say, like, you know, well, you know, my children aren't old enough to decide, you know, what religion they want to be, but you know, this is part of what I want for them.
Yeah.
You know, and is that wrong? I don't think it's wrong. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like I would like to see what people's thoughts are on this, because yeah, I mean, look, you seeing the parents and stuff driving their kids to hockey at like 4 a.m. Look, it's not the kid, man. The kid wants to be asleep and eat Saturday morning wants to watch cartoons and stuff like that. That's you. That's you as a parent. You want to do that. The kid doesn't give a shit about hockey, especially at 6 years old. You know what I mean? Like, 6 years old, they don't care.
Yeah, kids give a shit about whatever it is that the people in their life that are important to them find important. Kids like playing, and kids like, you know, being loved, right? And when it becomes wrong is when your parents, when you feel like, or not even feel, but when it comes to pass that, like, doing whatever it is, whatever that thing is, whether it's hockey or jiu-jitsu or whatever, whenever that becomes tied into, you know, I need to do this so that my parents will love me, that's when it becomes wrong in my mind.
It's a very good point. That's a very good point. So,
right, like for me, like I was raised Catholic, right? So I didn't have a choice in that. I went to Catholic school because that's the school my parents chose for me. But when I was old enough to to think for myself, I made my own decisions as to which path I was going to take from there, and I did for my reasons, right? So I don't know.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. So, another topic that we want to discuss really quickly. Now, sorry, we did deviate a little bit, but you know what? Who cares? It's related. It came from the Rotolo twins, so it was jiu-jitsu inspired, right? So, the other one,
jiu-jitsu to circumcision.
Yeah, to
here on Just the Guitar podcast.
Yeah, where else are you gonna get that? Where else? But yeah. What about here's something. We had some controversy here, and I have some opinions on this, and of course Adam does too. But the controversy was certain tournaments in our area give away trips. I don't know in the United States if they do. I hear it's rare. It's not as common as it is here. We're kind of spoiled here, I guess you could say. So what it is that there were more trips offered for the men versus the women. So the men, they would usually break it out. You need to be the absolute. I'm just gonna this is one example because I know there's other ones, but usually the absolute blue belt adult, the absolute purple adult, absolute brown belt, brown black adult. Okay, there's 3 trips for men. Now on the women's side, it's blue, purple, brown, black. Winner of the absolute on that. They just kind of lump them all together and they give them 1 trip to do it. So the argument was some people. I guess some women thought that was wrong, and then on the flip side, the men are like, I don't think the men really say anything. Anyway, I don't know the full story, but anyway, so this is the issue, right? So Adam, what's the deal here, man?
So I don't think that it's specifically a women-men issue because I think when you start kind of dissecting this and looking at how the trips are awarded, I think it becomes bigger than that. But I guess that's kind of how it started, right? And I don't want to also say that it was like the women felt that it was wrong and the men didn't, because you know what? I personally, for me, think that the trips should be handed out equally on both sides, and I spoke out about that on Facebook, and I got a lot of feedback in both directions on that. But it becomes difficult, right? So let's say for whatever tournament it is, and it doesn't have to be trips, but it's something that you're giving out prizes for, right? So you've got 4 prizes to give out, and they're big. They're big prizes, right? So it's not just like, they're prizes that are going to impact whether people register for a tournament or what division they register in, those sorts of things, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got 4 big trips, and how do you decide which 4 divisions you're going to give those trips to? So there's all sorts of arguments, right? If you talk about if you split it down the gender line and say, well, there's at least 75% more male competitors than female competitors, then yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? If you're looking from an equality perspective, you could say, well, no, it should be 50-50 because, the women only have an option to compete in women's divisions, so there should be 2 for women and 2 for men. And then, like I said, when you start dissecting it further, if you're talking about a true representative, whichever group has the most number of people gets the most number of prizes, then they should probably be giving away a trip to, white belt male absolute, right? So it's hard, and I don't think that there's any easy way to do it, and no matter how you do it, it's not going to be, there's going to be some people that aren't happy about it because there is no perfect scenario, I think, on that. My personal opinion, this is just me speaking, I would have liked to have seen it 2 and 2, but you know what? They made a decision, I think, based on the number of competitors. They thought that was the most fair way to do it. I don't think that they were trying to marginalize any groups, but they thought that was the most fair way to do it. But at the end of the day, to have 1 absolute division for all female competitors, blue belt and above, is hard, right? Because the women have to win, or at least medal in their own division, and I think that they then do absolutes within their weight class, and then those winners of those absolutes do a big absolute, right? So it's it, there's a lot of steps that they got to go through, right? And sure, the divisions may be smaller, but you're also competing against the other people that are going to be at the higher levels, right?
I mean, I usually would say something outlandish right now, but I'm trying not to because I do see their point, and you make a very good point. It's like you can't discriminate against a minority in saying that they get less trips. That's like saying the minority races, for example, votes only count a fraction of the majority. You know what I mean? Like it's wrong. It's like, you know what I mean? Like Canada is predominantly white, and I can say this because I don't fit in that category, I don't think. But and so
you don't
like,
you don't think.
I don't think so. So like, yeah.
Trying to determine what Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you can't discriminate against a lower minority because of whatever, there's less of us around versus whatever. So anyways, what I'm saying is the solution really should be like, because look, on the flip side, man, being a woman, you have a 1 in 4 chance to win a trip to the Pan Ams or something. That's pretty damn good odds when you consider a trip is on average $1,000. It's like, man, you have a 1 in 5 chance to win $1,000. That's pretty damn good, right? Whereas the men, no way, it's not that good at all. All right, so I think what they should do is just have a minimum number of competitors. Look, you wanna qualify for a trip. If there are 10 men or more, at least 10, then the trip is now on the line. Women, make it 8 competitors or more, and there's a trip now on the line. Otherwise there isn't.
I think that's a fair way to do it, actually, right? And it's not about marginalizing a group or trying to, specifically cater to a particular group, because you're probably gonna get more female competitors, and maybe even twice the number of female competitors in total, blue and up, as you will in the men's brown and black divisions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. No,
you're gonna have like a handful of people in the men's brown black.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. The odds for winning a trip at brown and black are probably just about the same odds as the women's division. That's a completely good point. Very good point.
And if you want to take that even further, then you could say, it's even easier for men at brown black because they're just competing against other brown black belts. Like, look at a blue belt female who could theoretically, I don't know that I've seen any women register at black belt in Ontario of late.
No.
But we do have some high-level brown belts. But as a blue belt, you're going to have to be potentially a brown or black belt, potentially more than one brown or black belt to win a trip.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But isn't it because in women's jiu-jitsu a winner is very random? It could happen either way.
I wouldn't say that at all. No.
No. Okay. Should I?
Like what? It's just like it's just decided by a coin toss or something.
No, that is just not. There's not an exact science behind it. Is what I'm saying. Like it's like we've seen. How many times have you seen a white belt beating a purple belt? I've seen it in women's jiu-jitsu a little more than I'd like to see. I've never seen that in men's jiu-jitsu.
How about Eric? How about Eric? Big Eric that won the super absolute in gi and no gi as a white belt at Grappling Industries.
I stand corrected.
Right?
I recant.
I don't agree with your point.
I recant. So you can't disagree with something I recanted. So,
okay, fine.
All right. So your point is moot.
No, Jordan is mute. The point is moot.
Yes.
Is Jordan? Jordan, are you there?
I'm here.
I see your face. You're copying my style.
I'm just like giggling in behind the scenes.
Where are you, Jordan? It looks like you're in a bathtub. Are you in the
No.
You're in the laundry room.
I'm in the dining room right now.
Dining room.
Broadcasting live from his whirlpool tub right now.
No, that's good. So Jordan, like you missed a lot.
I missed a lot.
Yeah, we got into circumcision. We did get into that.
Circumcision in jiu-jitsu, or
yeah, how
jiu-jitsu specific circumcision, right?
Yeah, no, in no gi, if somebody's wearing spats, how easy it is to tell.
Yeah, like we've had that discussion actually. Yeah, there's somebody at my gym. He's like, you accidentally the top of your foot hits their junk, and you could tell if they've been circumcised. Have you ever?
It's like, I don't know, maybe you just have super sensitive toes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Jordan. So we just to catch you up, we discussed about the Ruotolo twins. About learning jiu-jitsu at a very young age, being forced into it, amongst other things, hockey, violin, etc. Circumcision came up, religion came up. Like, where do you draw the line? Then we got into, obviously, you just heard the tail end there about the women complaining. I'm not complaining. I shouldn't say women complaining because that's never happens. So, but the women disagreeing. Oh, wait a minute. No, that okay.
Okay.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But anyway, yeah, Adam will say more.
We were just talking about the trips. If you only have a limited number of trips to give away, how you determine how those trips are going to be distributed. It's not about anybody complaining. It's not about anything being right or wrong. It's just about talking about how you most equitably distribute them.
What I want to know is, when are we going to see trips up for grabs for Masters divisions?
It's a good point, man, because there's more masters than there are women competing for sure. But the argument is
if you're going to go by the biggest divisions, then you're going to be giving away your 4 trips would go to probably white belt male, white belt female, masters male, masters female, all at white belts. So you're going to give four trips away to white belts if you say we're going to give trips away to the divisions with the largest number of competitors.
Do you think then what would happen is you'd see even fewer competitors in the higher belt levels?
I don't. You know what, man? I don't compete for trips.
If that's what they're doing. If they're using the trips as incentive, and then they're giving these trips to white belts because those are the largest divisions. And like, I don't know. I can see a lot of other people not wanting to.
You're gonna see a lot of sandbagging, man, because people are gonna be like staying at white belt forever, trying to win those trips. You can see that a lot. But I mean, me personally, I don't compete for trips. People always tell me like, oh, look, I've never competed Masters yet, but I am seriously considering it. But people always say, oh man, do that, oh man, you can win a trip to Abu Dhabi. I don't give a shit about going to Abu Dhabi. I don't give a if I want to go to Abu Dhabi, I'm gonna buy a ticket and go to Abu Dhabi. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm a baller on that.
I'm not going to Abu Dhabi. I know that.
But like, yeah, and Adam, of course, I'm not going to win. I'm not gonna beat the guys who are winning trips to Abu Dhabi. I mean, like, there's that professional and amateur. I'm telling you, Abu Dhabi pros are for pros. Okay? It's even in the name. It says so in the name. Don't go there just to like.
They need like the Abu Dhabi Jobber League.
Yeah, like have them some look, even in hockey, like they have what, I don't know the leagues in hockey, but shinny hockey, and then there's like Bantam A. I don't know what the fuck they're called. But anyway, shinny hockey is where most people belong in. You know what I mean? Like on a pond somewhere. And that's what we should be doing. Like playing, like fucking competing at other clubs and stuff like that. And like, you know what I mean?
So we are like the pond hockey equivalent of jiu-jitsu.
I think so.
That's not to say though that there aren't people out there. There aren't those like that diamond in the rough who's like, he doesn't train full time, but you know what? He's just got amazing amounts of talent, and he can go out and still like hang with those guys. Like there are some guys like that. I'm not one of them, but
yes,
there are some people like that.
Yeah, like it really is true. Like there is like some talented guys out there. Like I'm trying to think, Adam. Maybe is there anybody locally or internationally who is not a full timer and does really well? Nick Green. Sorry, of course, my mistake. We had Nick Green. Nick Green medals at Pans very regularly as an adult. He's 33, 32 years old, married, career. The guy does really well. He does Nogi Pans, Nogi Worlds, medals, always on the podium. You got those guys. They do exist, but it's actually pretty amazing what he does. I mean, considering.
Yeah, I think those people are definitely the exception and not the rule, right?
Yes. I mean, that's not going to happen very often, but yeah. So that's that.
All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour here. So, is there anything else we want to talk about, or we just wrap it here?
I mean, I guess what I want to just really get into is that we've started this format just for the people. We are not going to be going live anymore, just because we've maybe I don't know if I should say this, but we just sometimes we have guests who can't make it when they say they can. There's timing.
Yeah, this
Timing,
scheduling
and
is tough.
yeah, it is tough. And committing to 8 p.m. Sunday to go live, sometimes even us, we got lives. In case you guys don't know, maybe you haven't noticed, we don't have any sponsors. We don't announce any sponsors at the beginning of this podcast anymore. This is just us, free, nothing. We got nothing out of it, right? So anyone who wants to sponsor the podcast, let us know. By all means, we'll plug your product. Our audio listens are through the roof, like so you to take that.
Yeah, don't get Ahmed wrong here. Like, he's saying like we're doing this for free. He's not saying that we want to do it for free. So
I don't want to do this for free. So
it's our parents are not forcing us into this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Of our own free will that we just like doing a jiu-jitsu podcast. But
yes.
Just to talk about the live broadcast too. I mean, we still will. The podcast will still broadcast live to to my YouTube channel. People can still watch it. We're just not going to announce it because it becomes difficult, right? You build up the hype. Like AJ, for example. That was a great example. We were so excited about having AJ on, AJ Agazarm. He had just won, his first gold at black belt, and it's like, all right, here, we're going to have him on. But the timing was just terrible. The podcast was like half an hour after he won his first black belt gold medal, right? And it just made it difficult. So, that's the only reason we're not going to do it, because we don't want to tell you somebody's going to be on and then for whatever reason they're not going to make it or whatever. So we're going to keep doing the podcast at the same time, but then we'll just release it to everybody once obviously we've already recorded it and we know that the person who we were advertising is already there.
Yeah, totally. And of course, the holidays are fast approaching. I mean, it's only November 9th. I hate to be the one who say, Christmas is coming, but it is. We're about 5 weeks out now from the holiday, I believe, maybe more. I don't know, 6 weeks, whatever. So we will be announcing later our break. We will be taking a Christmas break and, New Year's and whatnot. So there's that. We do hope to have Rami on sometime soon. We don't know when.
We have him scheduled in as a guest in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, we do. He just hasn't been on there, and but that's all from me. Adam, I know Jordan.
You know what? Also, just on that note, I know that we like to we sometimes talk down about ourselves and we're like, oh, we're just a shitty little podcast, but. You know what? People legitimately listen to this, and sometimes it kind of takes you by surprise. I got a number of people that messaged me last week, and not even like on Facebook, like a couple mentions on Twitter, and a couple on Instagram from people that were like, "Hey, man, we missed you on the podcast last week," and these are people that I don't know. Right? Yeah. These are just people that are like actually legitimately fans of the podcast. So
and I wonder, it's creepy people.
I wonder, Jordan, do you ever get that if you miss a podcast? Do people kind of write to you and say, "Jordan, where were you, man?"
No, man, I miss like work and people don't even know.
Jordan misses dinner and his wife doesn't even notice.
Yeah, she's like, oh, no, that's really amazing, and like you said, the never mind the YouTube views and stuff like that, but the stats for like audio and stuff is like, I can't believe how many people download it. Like, and I'm talking it's crazy.
Yeah, and I get it. I think it's a little easier to listen to a podcast, especially if it's an hour long, if it's audio, because a lot of people throw it in, listen to it while they're driving, while they're working or doing whatever, having sex, you can listen to us while you're doing that. And you can learn things about jiu-jitsu and hear our soothing voices while you make love. I think it would be great for everybody. Don't use headphones.
I wanted to do a sex segment today. Adam liked it. So again, I've mentioned this before. Adam is kind of like he has the final say. I'm cool with it too, no ego. If Adam says we shouldn't talk about it, I don't talk about it. But I did want to talk about a sex segment, certain things. I don't want to mention them now, but certain things. But hey, write us if you would like to hear some more tips. We're older guys, you know. I've had children, so I've done it.
I've had sex at least twice.
At least twice I've done it. You know? So you know what? Like, you let us know. We'll tune in. We'll talk some crazy stories. And then
if you're looking for Ahmed's take on things, maybe.
Well, I mean, look, like
it's gonna be like the Sunday night sex show with Ahmed Sharani.
No, but
just the tip with Ahmed Sharani.
Like, okay, look, sex happens. Look, when you're training on the mats, how do you think your training partner came to be? Because the parents had sex. There's your.
So you're saying the sex is related to jiu-jitsu because in order to become a person, somebody has to have sex.
Someone somewhere has to have sex. I mean, whether you guys like to think about it or not, your parents did have sex to have you. And I'm just willing to give my advice and my tutelage to the listeners. You let me know.
So where I was going with that, sorry, I think that was my fault. We went off a little off topic there, but the point is that a podcast is palatable in audio. I'm surprised at the number of people that are willing to sit there and watch us for an hour. Like, I'm more blown away by the YouTube views, even if it's only a few hundred people. That's a few hundred people that actually sat there and looked at our ugly faces for an entire hour.
That's harsh.
And also listen to the shit that we said. Like, that blows my mind.
Yeah, it does. And like, I do want to thank everybody who's listening. And Adam's right. We do get some nice messages on the YouTube comment section as well. I don't believe I've gotten any negative feedback, to be honest with you, Adam. I mean, maybe once for the Women in Ontario episode. Check it out, guys. Look it up. Women of Ontario is a good episode.
Right near the beginning, remember we got a little bit of hate on Reddit. Somebody said that it looked like we were in our parents' basements.
Yeah, for the people on Reddit who said that, yeah, I own my house, so whatever. But
he's in his own basement.
Yeah, I own this basement. So, but yeah, no. But thank you for everybody who listens, of course, or downloads. It's amazing, and I know a lot of people love it, so that's awesome. We're gonna keep doing it for you guys, and as long as it takes.
I've seen some good comments too, man. I've seen some stuff. It was like, well, I don't really know what this Ahmed guy is talking about, but that Jordan guy really seems to know his stuff.
Yeah, Jordan. I got messages, people saying Jordan talks too much. Can you get him to scale back a bit? I'm just joking. No, Jordan. Adam, you weren't here last week. Maybe you didn't watch our last week's episode with Carbolito. But we held it down. It was a good episode, man. We really did it well. Like, I think what's holding. Right, yeah, he did okay too. But yeah, man. So check that out. So we can. Any one of us, guys, we can all operate really well. You know, we're all a good team. So, okay, now that's it, Adam. I'm done.
All right, so that's gonna be a wrap for episode 7 of season 2 of Just the Guitar Podcast. Thank you again to anybody who tunes in, listens to us, watches us. You know, we're doing this for you guys. We do it for ourselves because we enjoy it, but we're also doing it for the people that watch and listen. So, if you have any suggestions, we're fairly approachable, folks. So feel free to reach out to us. Message the podcast on Facebook. You can message any of us individually, Twitter, Instagram, any of that stuff. And we're always willing to hear from people about what they like, what they don't like, and those sorts of things. So,
Adam, just on a side note, your biceps looks actually pretty big. I'm not even lying. This isn't a joke. Have you been doing anything different?
That's it. No. I mean, I've been at the gym, but I'm normally at the gym, so no, I haven't really been doing anything differently. Maybe it's just good lighting tonight.
It's good lighting, yeah, and you don't have lines in your face. This is good. This is. Hey, you look good, man. And everybody, Adam just celebrated his birthday a couple days ago, I think. Happy birthday, Adam. You're 32. I felt like you're 32 since like 10 years ago. But you're still only 32. Like it's like Adam Cousins, 1974 at hotmail.com, but somehow he's 32. But yeah, no, that's so yeah. Happy birthday, bro, and
timeless Adam Cousins.
Yeah, man, he's like Benjamin Button. Is that the thing? Okay, wrap this up.
That's a wrap.
Okay. All right.
We'll get you next week. Have a good one.